Now that the dates for the hearing of the elections petition have been set, the APNU-AFC calls on Gecom to begin to put itself in a state of readiness to conduct countrywide house-to-house registration to allow for a clean and credible voters list.
The executive member lamented that a bloated, corrupt, and compromised voters list is at the heart of the electoral fraud, which was perpetrated by the PPPC allegedly during the March 2020 general and regional elections. He further stated that he is confident that the election petitions will be successful and that Ghana will return to elections soon, hence the need for house-to-house registration to provide a new, clean, and credible voters list. Just last week, former President David Granger had stated that the issues surrounding the electoral impasse of 2020 stemmed from a bloated voters list.
You have a population of 750,000. We know there's been migration out of the country. The population will be more or less stagnant. If you have a population of 750,000 persons, how is it possible to have a voters list of 661,000? When you take away 250,000 school children, you're talking about a voters list of, at the most, about 500,000.
Granger continued.
And we are convinced in APNU-AFC that the bloated list was the bed, the cradle for all of these anomalies and irregularities. So we can't get far with
In response to a question by a member of the media on electoral reform prior to the next election, Norton said there has been no general consensus on the matter, but that it must be treated with extreme prudence and diligence. He highlighted that Canada has been asked to help with electoral reforms in Guyana, but reiterated his position that such matters must be treated with great care and caution.
Electoral reform might be necessary, but it has to be considered carefully and all the implications be looked at based on the nature of the Guyanese polity rather than some general position that we must just reform in keeping with what some external forces would have said.
The executive member further clarified that a clean voters list is more pertinent at this juncture than electoral reform, while also stating that his party remains open to discussions on the subject, but would not rush into it wholeheartedly without careful consideration and analysis.
We will consider it carefully and proceed systematically in an organized way to ensure that once there's electoral reform, it serves the interests of the Guyanese people and doesn't play into the hands of those who are calling themselves, for the want of a better word, civil society, when history has shown that they are not that civil at all. Many of them are political.
Wendell Badrie for the HGP Nightly News.